let's talk a little bit more about UNC in the meantime. UNC is so committed to not playing a normal game. They've one-upped themselves to the 10th degree. On Friday, I was just saying UNC wants a normal game against James Madison. Have a normal game. A game that you get up by a little, you stay up, your running game works, you're like just not crazy. I asked for a normal game. The day ended with Inside Carolina reporting that Mack Brown told the team he was walking away from the job in the locker room. That's not normal. That's not normal. And by the way, everything that led up to that, more chaotic than you think. When's the last time each team had a blocked punt return for a touchdown? Both of them. Act like that's not pure chaos.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time there's a lot of, and what do you know what is actually 100% true about this game? 70-50 has never been the score of a college football game. Scoregami.
Scoregami'd?
There's a Twitter account that just tracks every score of FBS college football, and they tweet out when a new score. So it's never happened in college football's history. 70-50. UNC is so dedicated to not playing a normal game that they just put up a score. Go back to Army in 1920 playing against Princeton. Never 70-50. All those Pat Mahomes, Baker Mayfield duels where they each had 8 touchdowns. Never 70-50. Until James Madison on the road getting paid $500,000 by UNC to play UNC in Chapel Hill beat them 70-50. Yeah, that might lead to some confusing comments by the coach in the locker room after the game. Again, Mack Brown, according to Inside Carolina report shortly after the game, told the team that he was, quote, walking away from the job, close quote, in the locker room after the game. Mack Brown addressed that report today.
Let's talk about Duke. I mean, what I said is if you all don't feel like I'm the leader you need, then I'll go do something else. And they said, nah, man, we're in. Let's go. It was overwhelming. I wish I hadn't put them in that spot. So, but that's all it was. And if I was going to quit, I'd have come in here and done it. So yes, we're not talking about that anymore. Let's go to Duke. We got it handled.
Uh-huh. I told them if I'm not the leader, then if you threw the if in there, Mac. How about a little confidence? Imagine if the quarterback threw an interception, came off the field and told coach, if I'm not the passer you want, I'll walk away. Guess what that coach is going to do? Tell the backup to warm up. Like, what the heck is that outlook? And the crazy part is it wasn't all bad. Like, the offense did some good things.
They did leave 14-11, by the way, at one point.
Darn sure did. Omarion Hampton driving early. Copenhagen, touchdown early. Matter of fact, let's look at that. If you would have come before the game, Friday, we're doing our show, and the football fairy godmother shows up and says, Copenhagen's going to score, Bryson Nesbitt's going to score, Omarion Hampton's going to score 3 times. I'm going, oh, good. Thank you for letting me know. I'm going to go put a whole bunch of money on UNC to win this game. The offense did some good things. Oh, by the way, you got a special teams touchdown from Davion Goss. Blocked punt return for a touchdown. The defense and some of the special teams, woof. James Madison scored on a blocked punt return also. Can't let that happen. James Madison scored on long touchdown passes. They scored on short touchdown runs. They scored on long touchdown runs. They scored on short passes. They scored on long field goals. They scored on everything.
They had a 2-point conversion trick play.
They had a surprise onside.
Yeah.
Like everything. This was a green, eggs, and ham game.
By the way, the blocked punt for a touchdown, the surprise onside kick, the trick plays and stuff, that was just the first quarter.
Yeah. Honestly, James Madison thought they weren't going to be able to score as easily as they did on UNC. That's what I know. They thought they were going to need sleight of hand to score as much as they did and score as easily as they did on UNC. That's why they did all that crazy stuff. If you go back at the beginning of the game and tell James Madison how this game was going to go, I don't think they call the surprise onside. I don't think they call the trick play because they're like, no, we don't have to. We'll just run the ball and throw the ball down their throat. But even James Madison thought this type of game wasn't within their cards. There is simply, and I say this full-throated, with my chest, to quote Kevin Hart, no excuse. There is simply no excuse for letting JMU score 70 after paying them $500,000 to play the game. Mack Brown, after the game, pretty much said as much. UNC has no business losing that game.
Embarrassing day, shocking day. You shouldn't be at North Carolina and lose to a Group of 5 team, period. There are no excuses. Our defense, who played great all spring, all preseason, and played outstanding for the first 3 games, looked awful today. We had communication problems. We had missed tackles. We had guys wide open for a touchdown.
Yeah, you did.
And I'll push back a little bit on the defense having played great up until that game. I was at the game against Charlotte covering that a couple weeks ago. They gave up pass plays of like 25, 30. They had defensively given up 5 pass plays of like 22 plus yards in that game. Like chunk plays to Charlotte. Then their starting quarterback get hurt, Charlotte did, and the backup comes in like early in the second half and throws a pass for 34 yards. I was like, you were giving this up 2 weeks ago against a Group of 5.
Wait, you're not supposed to fact check what they say, Dennis.
Well, that's why we're here.
That was sarcasm, by the way. No, it's a great point by Dennis. It's not that the defense hadn't shown signs of weakness in the past. It's that 70. If they would have given up 35 points to James Madison, I would have said, "Ooh, this defense needs to lock in. That's unacceptable." Even if they won 50-35, this wouldn't be an all positive recap. James Madison scored 13 against Gardner-Webb in their last game. 13 against Gardner-Webb. I know I keep coming back to that, but it's worth mentioning. And I don't like the way they're reacting. Guess who didn't talk to the media after the game? UNC players. Guess who's not talking to the media this week ahead of the Duke game? UNC players. I understand it's a small thing. I understand from a media perspective, I'd like to hear from them. But also from a former player's perspective, getting out there and talking after a bad game, it's part of the accountability of it. Now, I know my playing career, I didn't have all of the good games in the world. I hopefully I never act like I have it all figured out. But I do know after a 4-interception game, I was up there answering the questions. And there was no cutting off a question. There was no, hey, let's talk about Duke. Let's not talk about that game. It was, hey, your media availability is 20 minutes post-game when it's still fresh. You're sitting up at that press conference table and you're answering questions for 20 minutes.
You face the music.
And I'll never forget that I had my All-American running back on one side, had my All-American linebacker on the other side, the non-All-American quarterback right in the middle. We did 20 minutes of questions for me. And in my brain, I'm sitting there going like, we could ask them something. Like we could have, I don't know, ask the running back why I threw those interceptions. I don't know. But it was just me. And it's part of the accountability of it. Like you give up 70, your captain should probably talk. And Omarion Hampton, who scored 3 times, should probably be up there, and he should probably have to go through the motions of saying, my touchdowns mean nothing in a game like that. And he should probably say, it's not just the defense, it's the team. We're going to huddle together as a unit. And Mack Brown up there clarifying his comments post-game, that's not accountability for the entire team. Now you're going into like the next time you talk to the media, one of the questions is going to be about giving up 70 to James Madison. I don't care if it's before or after the Duke game. Let them get their questions out. Let the media do their worst on Monday. So by Wednesday, you can be completely flushed and moved on to the next. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9